All right, let's jump right in today and take a deep dive into Tata Elxsi's Q3 FY25 financials. We've got their press release, a whole pile of detailed financial statements, and a really impressive investor presentation. Ready to unpack all of this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Always exciting to see how these global design and technology companies are doing. Tata Elxsi's got some interesting stuff going on.
Okay, so let's kick things off with that top-line revenue number. 939.2 crore rupees, that's what the press release is shouting. Up 2.7% year over year, but down a bit from the last quarter. What do you make of that?
Well, 2.7%, I mean, it sounds all right, but this is the tech sector we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Things move fast. And if you look at it in constant currency terms, growth's pretty flat compared to last quarter. Could be some currency fluctuations messing with things.
Makes you think. Now, how about those profit margins? EBITDA is sitting at 26.3%, PBT at 26.1%. Seems healthy, but they are down a bit compared to last year and last quarter. Anything to worry about there?
They're still pretty good, but yeah, the dip does make you wonder. Maybe some pricing pressure, maybe costs going up, or maybe just a little blip on the radar. We'll have to see what else we can find out. The CEO's message might give us some clues.
Okay, yeah. The numbers only tell part of the story, right?
Exactly.
Luckily, we've got the CEO, Manoj Raghavan, weighing in. He's calling it a steady quarter. Says there are challenges,
Yeah.
but he's confident about future growth.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's trying to strike a balance there.
Yeah, definitely. But it's how he talks about the challenges that's interesting. Geopolitical uncertainty, sure, but he also points to some specific industry headwinds, especially in Europe and the US.
What's he talking about specifically? Can you give an example?
He mentioned some significant business challenges in the automotive industry, and that's a big deal for them. 55% of their revenue comes from that sector. Think about it. Longer deal cycles, OEMs struggling with sales in those markets, it all adds up.
Wow. Yeah. You can really see how those global economic jitters and industry trends can filter down and impact a company like Tata Elxsi.
No doubt. And to understand this better, we need to break things down by segment. The investor presentation does that nicely. Transportation, media and communications, and healthcare and life sciences. Those are the three main areas.
All right. Let's stick with transportation for a minute then. Since the CEO brought up those automotive headwinds, what are we seeing there?
So 0.5% growth quarter over quarter in constant currency terms. Not terrible, but definitely a slowdown compared to past quarters. Lines up with what the CEO was saying about the industry.
All right. So even with those challenges, they are still winning some new business, right? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. One that pops out is an offshore development center, they call it an ODC, for Suzuki in India, focusing on all the hot stuff. Connected vehicles, electric vehicles, ADS, that's Advanced Driver Assistance Systems for those who don't speak acronym.
Right, yeah. So even if overall growth in transportation is a bit slow right now, it sounds like they're setting themselves up for future success in some pretty exciting areas. Okay, what about media and communications? 32.4% of the revenue, right?
Right. And they actually saw some growth there, 0.4% quarter over quarter in constant currency terms. What makes that interesting is this is usually a slow quarter for them because of furloughs.
Huh. So beating expectations in a traditionally slow period.
Could be a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. What's driving that performance? Any big wins?
Well, they did win a big multi-year deal with a U.S. MSO. That's a multi-service operator. Signals they've got a strong pipeline and the know-how to deliver in a rapidly changing media and telecom landscape.
So holding their own in a tough market, even seen some bright spots. Okay, let's move on to healthcare and life sciences, the last piece of the pie at 11.8% of revenue. How'd they do?
Healthcare and life sciences grew by 1.1% quarter over quarter. Not massive, but maybe a turnaround after slower growth we saw earlier. They're all in on generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI as they call it, and it looks like that's paying off.
That's really interesting. Can you give us a concrete example of what they're doing with Gen AI and healthcare?
One example they highlight is a multi-year deal with a global medical device OEM. They're using Gen AI to automate regulatory workflow and complaints management operations. Could save those companies a ton of time and money.
So we got a good sense of the overall performance and how each segment's doing. But to really understand a company's strategy, you have to look at the deals, right? The investor presentation have a whole section on key deal highlights.
It does. Want to pick a couple that really tell the story of where Tata Elxsi is headed?
Yeah, let's do that. Given how important the automotive industry is to them and all the moves they're making to stay ahead, I'm really intrigued by that deal with Suzuki to set up that ODC in India. Shows they're not just reacting to the current market, but actively investing in the future of mobility.
Absolutely. And the fact that they're focusing on connected vehicles, EVs, and ADS, it's like they're reading the tea leaves and betting on software and digital solutions becoming even more central to cars.
It's like they're helping to create the cars of the future, not just design and engineer them. What other deal jumps out at you?
Hmm. I'd pick the one with that leading US MSO, the multi-service operator we mentioned before. It's a multi-million-dollar long-term deal to manage their application portfolio. Shows Tata Elxsi's strength in digital transformation. They're not just providing tech services, they're becoming a strategic partner, helping manage and optimize their entire application ecosystem. That's huge in a fast-paced world like media and communications.
It sounds like Tata Elxsi has a real knack for spotting emerging trends and then offering the right solutions at the right time. They're not just following the market, they're shaping it. But I'm dying to dig into the detailed financials now. What are some of the nuggets you found in there?
Let's start with the geographic breakdown of revenue. North America is still their biggest market, around 40% of revenue. But what's really catching my eye is the growth they're seeing in other regions, especially Japan and emerging markets. Their revenue from those two combined, it's up a crazy 66.8% year over year.
Whoa, that's massive. They're clearly making some serious inroads in those markets. What else is jumping out at you from the financials?
The split between fixed price and time and materials contracts. In Q3, fixed price was about 48.1% of their revenue, while time and materials was 51.9%. That's kind of interesting. What do you think that means for their revenue predictability and flexibility?
Well, a higher percentage of fixed price usually means more predictable revenue. You set a price up front, everyone knows what to expect. Time and materials is a bit more variable, but it also gives them flexibility to adjust if a project changes scope or needs something extra. Sounds like they're striking a balance between those two models, which makes sense given the wide range of services they offer. How about employee metrics? How's their headcount trending?
Their headcount's down a bit this quarter to about 13,142 employees. Attrition rate, meaning the percentage of employees leaving the company, stayed pretty stable around 12.4%. Not bad at all for the tech industry.
Yeah, got to keep those talented folks happy. It's a competitive market out there. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. I've looked at the big picture, dug into the different parts of their business, examined some key deals, even poked around in their financial statements, feeling like we're starting to get a good grasp on what's happened with Tata Elxsi this quarter. What would you say are the key takeaways so far?
Well, first off, Tata Elxsi is putting up a solid performance overall, even with some challenges in their main markets. Their focus on growth areas like Japan, emerging markets, even India seems to be working. And they're really going all in on key technologies like Gen AI, the things that are going to shape the future of their core industries.
Great summary. Well, we always like to leave our listener with something to chew on. So, given everything we've learned about Tata Elxsi's focus on these technologies and their recent deal wins, what might this tell us about the future of those industries? Or how they might affect our lives?
That's a great question, and I think it's worth exploring further. We're definitely seeing a trend towards more software-driven solutions in just about every part of our lives. The cars we drive, the way we consume media, even how we manage our health.
It's like the lines between industries are blurring, and technology is the thread that connects them all. And Tata Elxsi is right there on the front lines of this convergence. So what does that mean for the future of transportation, media, and healthcare? And how will these advancements impact our everyday lives? Those are the questions I hope you'll keep thinking about.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much Tata Elxsi's strategy seems to be right in line with all these big tech shifts we're seeing. One place where that's really clear is their work on software-defined vehicles, or SDVs. They even have a whole section on it in the investor presentation.
Yeah, we do touched on that with the Suzuki deal. But it's such a hot topic these days, it deserves its own little deep dive. For anyone who might not be familiar with the term, what exactly is an SDV?
Okay, so imagine you're a car company, right? And you want to build these next-generation intelligent vehicles, the cars of the future. That's where SDVs come in. Think of it this way. Cars, traditionally, they've been mostly about hardware, the engine, the transmission, all the mechanical stuff. But with SDVs, it's all about the software.
So instead of being defined by all those mechanical parts, these cars are more about the software that runs them.
Exactly. Which means you can update the car's features and capabilities over time, kind of like updating an app on your phone. You can even upgrade them.
Wow, that opens up so many possibilities. Personalization, customization, even things like predictive maintenance. Where does Tata Elxsi fit into all of this?
They're playing a huge role. In fact, they just launched their own SDV software suite. It's called Avi and they showed it off at CES 2025 in Las Vegas.
CES, that's like the biggest stage for consumer electronics. They're not messing around. What does AV&R actually do?
Avinar gives car manufacturers a framework for developing and testing SDV software. It's a pretty complex system, but basically it's a toolkit for building those next-gen intelligent vehicles. And it's powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon digital chassis platform, big name in the tech world.
So Tata Elxsi is teaming up with the heavy hitters, leveraging cutting-edge tech. This feels like a turning point for the car industry, and they're right there at the forefront.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And it's not just about passenger cars either. They're applying this SDV expertise to other vehicles too, like off-highway vehicles, the kind they use in construction, mining, agriculture, all that.
So they're thinking about the whole spectrum of mobility, not just what we typically think of as cars. Any specific deals in this area they mentioned?
They talked about one where they're developing a next-generation connectivity platform for off-highway vehicles. Think remote monitoring, data analytics, even autonomous operation.
Okay, so big ideas, pushing the boundaries. It's clear they're not just happy being a tech services provider, they want to be a real innovator, shaping the future of mobility.
Couldn't agree more. They're not just riding the wave, they're making the wave. That's what makes them so interesting. Speaking of interesting, they also highlighted their work in test automation, especially for video devices. They even opened a new Center of Excellence of Test Automation, or CETA Lab, in Frankfurt, Germany.
Test automation for video devices. Tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. The world runs on video these days. Streaming, video calls, even things like remote surgery and healthcare. As video tech gets more and more complex and people expect higher quality, you really need solid testing processes. That's where CETA comes in.
So instead of having humans manually test every little thing on a video device or platform, they're using automated systems to do it. Does that mean they don't need human testers anymore?
Not really, no. It's more about making testing more efficient and effective. Automated testing can handle the repetitive stuff and catch things humans might miss. That lets human testers focus on the trickier parts, the user experience. Plus, the CETA lab uses something called Q3F25, which focuses on quality of experience, or QoE.
QoE, I like that. It's not just about whether the video works, it's about how good it looks and feels to the user. And that's super important as people's expectations for video just keep going up.
Exactly. And Tata Elxsi is putting themselves in a great position to lead in this area. It's really something how they managed to stay on top of so many tech trends at once.
They also won a Top 75 Innovative Company Award for 2024 at the CII Annual Summit. Pretty impressive. It really says something about their commitment to innovation. They were recognized for their industrial design and Gen AI capabilities, which, as we've seen, they're applying across the board.
More proof that they're not just a tech company, they're a design and innovation powerhouse. They're crafting experiences, not just building tech. That's what makes them stand out.
Okay, so we've talked about SDVs, test automation, even their award for innovation. But what about their core business of design and technology services? Are they still doing well in that area with all these other things going on?
Great question. And the answer is, yeah, they're still killing it. They're still committed to what they're good at, and it shows in their work. They highlighted some cool projects in the investor presentation. For example, they're the design digital partner for a major data and insights program run by a US-based global tech leader. This program is all about using AI and product feature development for the next generation of products.
So using their design and tech expertise to help this company make smarter, more user-friendly products. What other projects caught your eye?
They're also doing a lot with digital twin technology. They even have their own connected digital twin platform called LAXI, which they showcased at the Software Defined Vehicles Europe 2024 conference.
Digital twin technology, that sounds futuristic. What is that exactly? What's so great about using a digital twin?
A digital twin is basically a virtual copy of something physical, like a machine, a building, even a whole city. The cool thing is you can use it to simulate and analyze how the real thing will perform in different situations. For instance, you could use a digital twin of a wind turbine to see how it reacts to different wind speeds and weather.
Oh, I get it. So it's a powerful tool for optimizing and solving problems. So they're using LEXI to help clients across different industries make better decisions, boost efficiency, even come up with new products and services.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how they're blending design and tech expertise to create innovative solutions with real-world applications. It's impressive how they manage to weave together all these threads, design, technology, innovation, to create this tapestry of solutions for their clients. They're not just solving problems, they're helping to shape the future.
That's a great way to put it. They're not just a company, they're a force for positive change. Speaking of positive change, we haven't really touched on their focus on sustainability.
Oh, that's an important one. It's really woven into everything they do, helping clients make more eco-friendly products, even their own internal efforts to reduce their environmental footprint. They're walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Can you give us some specific examples of how they're integrating sustainability into their own operations and the work they do for clients?
Absolutely. Remember that deal with Suzuki we talked about? Well, besides focusing on connected vehicles, EVs, and ATS, they're also helping Suzuki reach their sustainability goals. They're working on lightweight design, eco-friendly materials, even using advanced simulations to lessen the environmental impact of car production. They're also involved in developing those next-generation powertrains and software-defined vehicles that are more energy efficient.
So they're coming at sustainability from all angles, both in how the vehicles are designed and built and in the manufacturing processes. It's great to see a company that's not just chasing profits, but also trying to make a positive impact on the world. Gives you hope for the future, right?
Me too.
Hmm.
And I think it's something we should all be looking for in the companies we support and the products and services we choose. We can vote with our wallets and make choices that align with our values.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. SDVs, test automation, digital twins, sustainability. It's been a whirlwind. We've got a pretty deep understanding now of what Tata Elxsi is all about and how they're shaping the future of technology and innovation. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to highlight? Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, it's really cool to see a company doing well and actually caring about making a difference. Their focus on sustainability, it really got me thinking.
Yeah, it's not just lip service. They're baking it into their DNA, showing that you can be profitable and responsible at the same time. It's a good lesson for everyone.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive. Tata Elxsi's Q3 performance, their strategic moves, their commitment to a greener future. As we wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you'd leave our listeners with?
I'd say Tata Elxsi, they're not just riding this wave of tech change.
Yeah.
They're out there shaping it.
Yeah. They're not afraid to push the limits, to try new things, to invest in what's coming next. And they're doing it all while keeping an eye on the big picture, how it affects people, how it affects the planet. That's a powerful combination.
That's a great way to put it. Tata Elxsi is a company to watch, not just for their tech skills, but for their vision and their values. They're showing us that innovation can be a force for good.
And I think as we all become more and more reliant on technology, it's more important than ever to get behind companies that share those values, companies that want to build a better future for all of us.
Couldn't agree more. So to our listener, if you want to learn more about Tata Elxsi and the work they do, you'll find links to all the sources we used in the show notes. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tata Elxsi. It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you've enjoyed the ride.